Okay, I'm gonna try to use this light more. Anyhow, I wanted to put up a sign. Maybe I'll put it up as an icon in this. I am Rock Me Amadeus. I am the website. ROCKA. No, it's ROCKMEAMADEUS. But the E and the U, there's a dot between them. It's a US web address, and um, it's a site I created that manipulates the YouTube embed to give you a TV-like experience. Um, it plays music videos, uh, time oriented. The algorithm I use is really simple. It's I just determine what the remainder is of a division of the time code, which is number of seconds since 1970. That's what Unix uses. Unix didn't have any problem with year 2000 problem. That was really a Microsoft problem because MS DOS um, was limited to a simple date format that had two numbers on the end, and when 2000 went around, they were not certain that some of the applications might actually have problems with dates because now some dates would be represented as 1900 rather than 2000, and so all the kind of problems out, but it was Unix didn't have any problem with that, and that's because time representing Unix is represented as a number of seconds since the year 1970 in the past. It also means you can't really represent time in Unix for dates before 1970, or you could if you could use a negative value, negative seconds. Um, in any case, all I do is I just take that Unix timestamp, or the time and number of seconds since 1970, and I divide that by the number of seconds of duration of the playlist. The remainder will be a value between um, zero and the duration of that playlist, and so it's simulating a playhead going through the playlist. All I have to do is determine which video it falls on and what portion of the video it falls into, and I upload that to the user as a JavaScript um, enabled experience using the YouTube embed. It doesn't install anything on your device. It really just uses what's already in the web browser to provide that experience, and it's going to be time oriented. That means it's socially shareable. You can share it with people, and some of the first things I tried it on was an alt space VR experience when in the worlds you could put web browsers inside your world, and I put in each world that I had 60 worlds in alt space, and each one had a browser that was preset with the playlist from my site that it would start playing, and more about 5 to 6 times out of 10, people would get the same content at just the right time on their headsets, and they would be essentially seeing the same video content even though they were each seeing a separate experience. And people could even change the channel without changing it for everybody else, or adjust the volume of the playback without adjusting it for everybody else. Because that's the thing about virtual reality experiences, is that they are shared. They're not. They're not. You have to know that everybody's getting a different experience, and it's not the same for everybody. So you might be seeing something different from what everybody else is seeing. This is just true of the internet. This is the reason why there was such a problem with Facebook during the elections, is that swing voters were getting different um, advertisements or notifications, little paid for ads in their feed that were giving them extremist conservative views, trying to get them to vote for Trump. And everybody else got something different. And they just assumed everybody else is getting the same stuff. And that's what ruined people's perception of the world is that they were getting a direct marketing piece of thing in their Facebook, and it wasn't a shared experience. And that's just something you can do on the internet. I was joking with some people thinking about setting up a website where I would have a lot of content favorable to Hillary and a lot of content that was favorable to Trump, and I would put it into like a museum. And to the people that I knew were Hillary supporters, I'd give them Trump stuff, and I'd give the people that were Trump supporters, I'd give them Hillary stuff, so that they would be completely confused, irate, or upset, and come out of the museum thinking that everybody else was seeing the same content. And it was, the idea was really just to present to people that you don't get the same experience on the internet that everybody else gets. The more that the provider knows about you is going to shape what you get. Same on YouTube. YouTube AI is going to make assumptions about you based upon what it is that you've seen. And it may be completely incorrect, but it's trying to shoot for 100%. And if you don't control your experience in YouTube, it won't know what to give you. My site doesn't do that. My site tells you what it provides, and if it's 80s music video content, it's going to be 80s music video content. It's not going to be anything else. And you can do that inside of YouTube with a playlist, but you're going to get fed advertisements, and they're going to want you to invest in YouTube Premium. And they're only going to give you content, usually content, especially if it's YouTube Music, they're going to give you content that is middle of the road, basic 80s content. And they're not going to give you everything. And I give you everything. And I do it ad free. And it's ad free because YouTube cannot put ads on their embeds, because their advertisers would have to agree with the context of the website, and the people that have the website would have to agree with the inner context of the advertisements that are provided. If they don't agree, then the advertiser may dump YouTube as an advertiser, and the person who has their embed on their site, if they see any content that is contrary to the content on their website, they're going to drop the embed. And so the embed's going to, in general, fail. And for that reason, YouTube cannot put advertisements on those embeds. They put banner ads. And I've pointed out to YouTube, I don't know if they even gotten this, that those banner ads use a banner affiliate program that does not permit Americans to be affiliates to the banner ads. It permits foreigners. And it is my belief that this is how they get illegal content onto YouTube, is by foreigners uploading American video content, or just general popular content that's copyrighted. They upload it to YouTube, and they make money off the banner ads. And it's possible that YouTube knows this, and it's just a matter of people knowing it that's going to change how the content is provided. I would just point out to the RIAA and MPAA that nobody is going to buy movies and music in the numbers they did in the 70s, because the LP record and videos and all that stuff was a product of the 80s. The LP was of the 70s and before. It was the only consumer replayable medium aside from going to the movie theater or reading a book, or people tended to entertain themselves before the 70s. And so that they were providing this record so that people could get a special experience. It is not going to be the same ever again. It's not coming back. And so there's no reason for the Eagles to assign 60 60 teenagers to go out and look for YouTube content, because they're not going to have that user base if nobody knows their music. If their music is not accessible to a general audience, they're not going to get known. People are going to forget them just as much as they've forgotten who John Wayne is. Just ask any old kid, do you know John Wayne? They don't know who John Wayne is. And we do, and it's like they wouldn't know John Wayne is from knowing who Johnny Carson is, who's from knowing who, all those old greats. Their content is going to get left by the curbside. The only people who are going to be buying into it are the people that are dying off now. And so the thing to do in order to retain that audience is to provide content for free. And then hope that those people, if they want a more quality content, a higher quality of content, a more consistent experience, that they're going to buy into the product. And they will. Because they want something better than what is offered on YouTube. They know that YouTube is not going to be the complete answer to that content. So so I would stress to the RIAA, MPAA, you should be spending more time thinking about what content people would pay for, and also possibly other avenues of experiences, such as virtual reality experiences. Like, say, I could walk through the studio that the Beatles created their albums in, and see a simulated environment with deep faked faces of the Beatles and actors doing Beatle impersonations with the instruments, possibly actors that know how to play the instruments, playing the instruments with deep fake Beatles faces, that people can walk around and listen to the instruments and get something of a feeling for what it was like in the recording studio. That would be an experience that's completely possible now, and they just aren't doing it because they go for what's easy, as all business people do. And what's happening to the market now, what is the problem we have most? A lack of talent, a lack of workmen people, in this space. We don't produce enough actual content that's quality anymore. When it's music, it's somebody using a looping system where it's the same track all throughout, with them just adjusting which layer is being played currently, and then changing the lyrics and stuff like that. But that's not a quality experience. We know a quality experience from what we've known of the past, of the songwriters period of the 70s. Will never happen again unless somehow we can provide a means by which of making money, because that's what drove the musicians to create their content. They were having to change according to whatever was the current flavor of music that was coming out. They still do that, but not as often. How many people have been listening to the same Katy Perry stuff for the last 10 years, 10, 20 years? I mean, it's not different for the 70s music as well, but how many people really want to listen to Katy Perry from here until eternity? It's going to be the same for any musician you produce. And so the thing to do is to try to figure out what experiences people can have that will augment what they've got, so that they will spend more money to get those experiences. And considering that people are very leery of putting applications on their devices for fear that they might get malware, they're going to more often trust something that's coming from an app store, from the people who produce the content, the people that would be responsible for whether or not they would put malware on the device. And so, the only way you're going to make money is by having the trust, and people are going to trust a more reputable brand than they're going to trust some unknown. And so that's that's the value add you provide. Universal, Sony, that's the value add you provide, is that you are a trusted brand and you can provide quality experiences, even if some of them don't meld with the audience correctly. You could provide a new quality experience with virtual reality, with augmented reality, that will permit your consumers to walk through a studio session as if it's actually happening. And that is something that nobody's ever experienced, is walking through a studio while their favorite musician is making a cut, and to actually be able to see all the stuff that's in their environment. That's what attracts people to my content, is the VR 180 experience. They can see all the trash and crap I haven't picked up off the floor in my room. So if that's interesting, then why not a studio experience?